like I said, when you see this, you can't blame the person at all.
Oh, 100%.
And I'll tell you why. There's two reasons. The first is there is no civilizational project we are working towards as a community. Are you with me? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the things he did, if we look at his methodology, it was what we call amal jama'i. There's a group effort towards a project. Now, when you seek knowledge, when you give da'wah, it's a one-man job. You know, so you're a lone wolf in this world, right? I want to seek knowledge so I can teach it, so I can transmit the religion. But that is disconnected from a bigger project. In the past, akhi, you had, for example, the Nizamiya system. The Nizamiya system became a system. It became an ecosystem, an infrastructure for producing ulama who would go on to be muftis, who would go on to be judges, qadis, who would go on and take on positions as ministers, who would have a place in the ecosystem of this project called Islam, this civilizational project called Islam. And some of those scholars played a role in being around and giving fatwa and mobilizing people to join Salah ad-Din's army later on. So we see that when education is part of a project, there's an infrastructure and it's easy to find your place in the infrastructure, right? But after our lands were colonized and the endowment system was broken down, and the traditional madrasas were broken down, and Islamic governance and law was reduced to family law, and the judges were replaced with people who had studied in Paris, right? And all of these things, now all of a sudden as a talib al-ilm, I don't know what to do except for study and teach, or become an imam of a masjid. I'm not going to become a qadi, right? I'm not going to become a minister. My Sharia degree is not going to make me a minister of finance or minister of education or minister of economics. I'm not going to become a military general with my Sharia. Like, there's no place for me in the infrastructure because there's no project. So that's number one. Number two, it's the actual pedagogy. You know, and there's this term.
Pedagogy is?
Like the educational philosophy. There's this term that I like to use a lot, which is prophetic pedagogy. And it's an area I think we need to revive in terms of research, in terms of teaching.
And how to teach and how to learn.
How to teach and how to learn, and the goals and objectives of teaching and learning. The Prophet ﷺ, much of the fiqh was not taught sitting in the masjid reading books. Like, for example, how do we know how to pray Salat al-Khawf? How do we know how to pray Salat al-Qasr? How do we know the rules of traveling? Because the Prophet ﷺ was on an expedition with the Sahaba and he taught them. So it was knowledge through action, not just knowledge to act upon it. Like sometimes we say, yes, it's true. Al-ilmu qabla al-qawli wal-amal. We need to seek knowledge before we can take action. But the prophetic methodology, it combined between that and actually knowledge through action. You know, today they call it project-based learning. I'm going to learn by building projects. I'm going to learn a little bit. When I've got the bare minimum, I start applying that knowledge. And so what happens? It builds depth and consolidation of the knowledge. This is the philosophy of fiqh in Islam. You learn fiqh to act upon it. But not only do you learn it to act upon it, the Sahaba learned it through acting upon it.